Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a little bit different video than we have in the past, and I'm going to be comparing side by side, looking at the pros and cons between the new Minion Prince charge with the metal pants. It is way better than it was before, by the way, and the Royal Champion charge. Now, since we're not comparing apples to apples, these aren't going to be the exact same, but I'm trying to make it as scientific but real and true to the game as I possibly can. So we're going to invest the same amount of spell space into each charge. But with the Minion Prince, I'm going to include a few rocket balloons just so it's going to tank mines, because that's how you're going to want to use this in the game, right? Either balloons or rocket loons. I'm using rocket loons. With the Royal Champion charge, I'm not obviously going to be using rocket loons. Two, I'm going to be using the Warden with the Minion Prince charge because that's how it's done traditionally, and I'm not going to be using the Warden with the Royal Champion charge. That's not how that's done traditionally. So we're going to do it that way. You can see on this raid now, after each raid, I'm going to do 3 or 4 different raids on bases. I'm going to put them in about the same spot. We're going to look at the percentage of value that they get, the amount of time it took them to get that value, and which one is faster. We're going to be looking at the time as well. You can see this one, I put things down at 51 seconds remaining. So I lead with a rocket balloon just to look for air mines. I'm going to put the, you can let the Minion Prince get to about 1/3 down of his health. So if he has 2/3 health left, then you can pop the ability and it's going to heal him all the way, because he gets a massive heal from this, by the way. You do not want to use your invisibility spells while your Warden or while your Minion Prince has this bubble around him, right? He is so tanky. He can tank mines, he can tank air defenses, he can take monolith shots. He really does not tank very much damage. Once that wears off, right now is when I'm going to start using the invisibility spell. So this increases the longevity of this Minion Prince charge by 15 seconds if it's maxed, right? I've got mine maxed on this account already. You can see by the end of this, I recall them at about 10 seconds left, 10, 9 seconds left. So this was about 40, 41 seconds. I get 14%, which, by the way, is pretty much exclusively defenses because nothing here can target other trash buildings. So keep that in mind. We get a fire spitter, a few, or 1 air defense. Maybe I'll go through and count each of the defenses, and we'll put it on like a little label or something here on the stream so that it's the video, so it looks a little bit easier for you guys. Let's go ahead and test the Royal Champion charge, time, value, and percentage of the base in this exact same scenario. Okay, I'm putting my Royal Champion down at about 59 seconds. I put my Royal Champion a little over to the right because it makes it path the same way, because I want this to be, I want the area of the base to be similar, right? So I want you guys to see side by side, really, what gets more value. And I am using the haste vial, and actually it gets insane value on this one so that we can use both abilities. That way we're trying to use about the same amount of resources per charge, so you can get a really good comparison side to side to see which is better. We're going to be going here. By the way, the timing of the invisibility spells is basically the same. You take a little bit more damage with the Royal Champion, but she still heals for an insane amount. 45 a second is no joke. That's like having a max level healer basically with her all the time, because if the hero is moving, the healer can't heal all the time. So really, this is probably even better. All right, so we're going to get this Rage Tower, I think, and then I recall. So about 14 seconds left. So what was that? About 59 to 14, 45 seconds or so. So 5 seconds longer. We get 15% instead of 14. But keep in mind, she also cleared some trash buildings as well, just from her aura. I don't know how many trash buildings. Again, I'll have to kind of calculate that, maybe put that on stream or on the screen, but very, very similar in terms of time. This one was 5 seconds slower. The percentage, 1 more percent. But like the value of the defenses, they basically got like the exact same thing, right? So the Minion Prince charge now, at least in this one example, has been very, very similar to the Royal Champion charge. Let's try a couple more bases, and we'll see side by side and maybe get a better idea. By the way, longevity, if you're going to be using the 11 invisibility spell charge with the Royal Champion, I don't think that you can really do that with the Minion Prince. So this is really comparing the shorter ones, like with the Root Riders and things like that. All right, let's take a look at another charge. We start this at 1 minute and 56 seconds. I got a phone call, so I just let this be on idle for a while. That's why this is so long. I'm going to push play, so 156. By the way, it takes me about 10 tries to get a perfect Spirit Fox walk-off, or whatever you call it, versus I can do it with the Minion Prince charge first time, because I'm trying to do a Spirit Walk where I keep the Spirit Fox alive for the entire duration so that you get the maximum potential, but that's much more difficult to pull off than this. So really, if I was being realistic, I would be saying that I would let the Spirit Fox maybe die a little early, and I would just have like 4 seconds less of invisibility while I'm going. Where this is so much easier. You don't have to really worry about placement of invisibility spells nearly as much, because you're not worrying about like a Spirit Fox and a Royal Champion. Plus the timing is much easier with this one. Basically what happens, okay, 117, so 56, 17, what is that, about 40 seconds again. We get a Town Hall with this one though. Pretty insane value, but honestly, it takes me way more tries to get this right with the Spirit Fox than it does a Minion Prince charge. So let's go ahead and look at the Spirit Walk version of this and compare the two side by side again on this base. All right, 43 seconds left is when we put the Royal Champion down. And again, you're going to see it, like even on this one, I don't think it was perfect, but, and by the way, you're going to see me overgrowth those buildings up there. I wanted to keep the Royal Champion down towards the Town Hall. So that's just for science, right? Just to make sure they go in the same area. That way we can kind of get a good idea of the value gotten between both. I didn't want her going up. So you can see I still have my Spirit Fox alive even after the third invis. So we take advantage of 3, and then I think she dies here. So the last 2 are just going to be back to back. And again, I'm telling you, it was so hard to keep the Spirit Fox alive for all 5. Obviously, you're not going to be diving into an area where there's this much damage every time. But we recall with 3 seconds left. So actually, in terms of time, they were even, pretty much dead on this raid. This one doesn't get the Town Hall. It gets 1 more %, but that is trash buildings. So again, I'll tally up the buildings gotten between both attacks, and I'll find a way to make a graphic with that, put them side by side on the screen. That way you guys can see. But let's try this with 1 or 2 more bases. That way we can see. One thing we also have to mention, though, is the utility of the heroes after they're recalled. Like the Royal Champion, you can put her with something and she'll still get an insane amount of value. The Warden and the Minion Prince, you could basically only do this with an air army afterwards, right? Because it's going to be a lot harder to keep your Warden alive if you leave him on ground mode. Ground expos are just going to wreck him. So you can only almost do this with air attacks. But that's one of the differences, right? Not apples to apples. So let's go to another replay. All right, we've got another base that we're going to analyze. This one might be the most one-sided one yet, so I'll show you guys this one. We start at 45 seconds remaining. By the way, typically how I've been doing this, when I pop my Minion Prince ability, I look at the clock at the top. Almost always it's with 250 remaining left, so I know at 2 minutes and 35 seconds is when I'm going to have to start putting invises down to keep him alive. That's when his ability is going to wear off. You just have to adjust the time depending on what level you have. Perfect. So let's go. We've got our invisibilities that we're going to start using. I think it's like here any second now. Yep. We're continuing to go. Man, you can see with the Rage Gem on the Warden, dude, he does so much damage. Is it more worth it? I wonder if it's more worth it to have 2 more invisibility spells than the Rage. I feel like the Rage just does so much, though. It speeds him up so fast. Okay, about 5 seconds left. So again, about 40 seconds for this little charge. That's actually good to know. It's almost always about 40 seconds with this Minion Prince charge. That you're investing in. We get 21% this time. Again, pretty much exclusively defenses because nothing here can target anything but defenses. And that doesn't make sense. How am I using a 40-second charge and the Angry Jelly's lasting the whole time? And that's only, oh, I guess it's 35 seconds, right? That's maxed. So I'm probably running like right when this thing ends. So the Angry Jelly's probably worn off or so by about this attack ending. So the timing of that works really well. So when you redeploy him with the recall, he'll just be in normal mode if that's good or bad, whatever you want to use that for. Let's look at the Royal Champion version of this attack. All right, before I start this one, the Angry Jelly thing. Yeah, the Angry Jelly lasts 35 seconds. What's happening is every time it wears off, my Minion Prince is already right next to a defense anyway, so it still is just targeting defenses. So that's interesting to note. Anyway. So 43 seconds left on this one. So this one maybe was a little bit faster. And I do accidentally let the Royal Champion die because I was late with my recall. But we're going to ignore that. We're going to pretend I recall it because we're not trying to see if this is legit or not. We all know the Spirit Walk's really good. It is a little bit more difficult to pull off now compared to the Minion Prince charge. Minion Prince charge, I cannot tell you guys how much easier that one is to do. Okay, so I invis. I keep it alive for 4 invisibility cycles this time. And right here is where I should have recalled. Right here. There was no way I was going to get that. So we're going to say I recalled there. So about 35 seconds for this one. We get 19% because she dies before she even gets that multi-inferno. Pretend I recalled there. Again, there are some trash buildings. This one was mostly defenses, though, because there weren't very many trash buildings in the direction of the Royal Champion chart this time. Again, I'll put a little display with the buildings destroyed at the top. So this one was a little bit faster. Got a little bit less percentage. And we'll see about the buildings. But let's talk about both of these things side by side. I'm going to go ahead and hop into a replay so you guys don't have to watch this frozen screen of the Minion Prince charge with maybe a full attack or something. And then I'll analyze both for that last replay. All right, let's push play on this replay. This is kind of a slapped together army. I don't think this is necessarily the best. I don't really know. This is literally the first army I threw together and just 3-starred with it. And so this is what we'll watch on the replay. By the way, I do invest a couple more invisibility spells. You're going to see the Royal Champion, or the Minion Prince and the Warden snipe the Clan Castle before the Ice Golems even come out when they're getting there in the core. They get the Monolith, the Clan Castle, and the Town Hall in this little charge that they do. And then I recall them and you know, take advantage of them later on in the raid too. So it ends up being a pretty insane charge. In terms of time, two of the 3 raids, this was faster. One of the raids, the Royal Champion was a little bit faster by just a couple of seconds, but that's not going to be really the deciding factor because they were all within usually 4 or 5 seconds of each other every raid, no matter what anyway. The second thing is the percentage of buildings gotten. This one got a tiny bit more percentage of buildings every single raid. Let's go ahead. I'll zoom out so you can kind of see the rest of the attack. This is how it would probably look. You could refine this a lot, by the way. Like maybe the blimp probably wasn't the best here. I do have a heal spell as well. I don't know if that's worth it. As well as where and when I use the Royal Champion. I don't know if that's the best place for that either. But as far as value of buildings go, after watching all the replays and kind of tallying up all of the things, I really feel like the Minion Prince and the Warden charge got a little bit more value in terms of the importance of buildings that they got basically every raid. Now, there are pros and cons to each, right? The Minion Prince charge is obviously way easier to do. You can't really mess up the timing of that because you push the button for your Minion Prince ability and you look at the clock and you just say, okay, I've got 13 seconds before I need to use my invisibility spells. Where the Royal Champion, you've got to like use the clock, make sure you get the Spirit Fox and the Royal Champion inside of the invis at the same time. Obviously, if you're using a Phoenix, you're going to get even less value because you're going to be visible for a lot more time, so you have to use more spells. As far as the cons of this, though, this is kind of a niche charge. It's not going to be able to be used with every army like the Royal Champion charge is. So kind of my overall analysis of the attack is probably this would only be good with Mass Dragons or Mass Dragon Riders or a Mass Air strategy in general. For ground-based strategies, you're still going to have to stick with the Royal Champion charge. If you put the Warden on ground mode and try and do this with the Warden, cannons, ricochet cannons, ground expos, they're going to kill him so fast that it doesn't make it... You don't get any value with the Warden because he's going to die or use his ability during the charge, right? So you have to use this with an air attack. It doesn't work with ground attacks. So that would be the big thing. Overall, I think the Minion Prince charge might be slightly better for a quick charge that's easier for dragon type attacks, but the Royal Champion charge I think is probably a little bit better overall because it is much more versatile in terms of the armies that it can be used with. I'm going to be doing my Legend League hits with this army. I'll refine it a little bit, and we'll see if we can make this work consistently, though. I'll refine this army and make it a little bit better, but I think the Minion Prince charge is really cool. The Metal Pants make it a lot more... you get a lot more value, right? There's a lot more longevity to the Minion Prince charge, and he does some insane value. I might have to do some raids where I compare 2 more invisibility spells instead of a rage and see if they get more value that way. The rage just seems like it helps so much, though. So we'll see. I will go ahead, but I'll do another separate video with this attack fully in Legend League. But that'll do it. I'll see you guys next time.